afternoon, heathens. Look at this glorious afternoon sunshine we have. The weather in the UK, oh yes, we are thoroughly in spring. So also this is natural light, so we don't know what's going to happen here. Bear with me. How are you all? We are going to talk about some books. So I have been reading quite a lot this month. I did a few vlogs. I'm not going to speak about the books that I read in those vlogs because I feel like I don't want to do the same thing over again. If you want to hear about my new releases, so I read the new Ava Reid, I read the new Karina Halley, and I read the new Ashley Winstead, 3 of my favorite authors. 5-star, gourmet meal. We had a good time. We were in the dessert cart. We had the cocktails. If you've watched my Getting to Know My Taste video, you know what I'm referring to. They were Ivy Asia, everything on the menu kind of books. Love them. But these are ones that I haven't necessarily talked about yet, and I thought, let's talk about it. So I have 2 kind of themed stacks. So one is my dark romance. I'm in my dark romance era, people. It's happening. And then this is my romantasy stack. And also, some of these were on my 25 for 25. So we're getting through this. And one of these represents I'm up to date in a series. Woo! Okay, I don't know who I am. I am very proud of myself here. I am the girl that starts every series and never finishes it or actually gets up to date in a series. And I'm the girl that doesn't read her new releases. But not anymore. I'm reading my new releases on the day they come out. And I'm up to date in a number of series and actually have finished some. So anyway, let's get on with it. So, speaking of series, let's talk about this one. So this is The Songbird and the Heart of Stone by Carissa Broadbent. This is the 3rd novel in the Crowns of Nyaxia series. And I'm officially up to date because this is the latest book that has come out. So the way the series works is that there's duologies for each one of your characters. So our main character in this one, Misha, we got introduced to her in the first 2 novels. If you don't want a slight spoiler for what happens in the 2nd novel, maybe mute me for a bit. But this book starts with Misha, who she was a priestess of the sun god, and then she was bitten by a vampire and turned into a vampire. Yeah, those 2 things, they don't go well together. She's quite upset about that. But also, I love Misha's character. In the first 2 novels, we got to know her. She's Rain's best friend. She was in the Kajari. And she is fun. She still has that sunshine personality. So she is what I would call perky goth. So yes, she's a vampire, but she's really sunshiny. And that really comes through in this book. I love her voice. I love her personality. I actually listened to the audiobook of this and I thought it was fantastic. In this one, she, in kind of the last book of the previous series, she actually saw the vampire that turned her and she killed him. And he is a prince of are they the Shadowborn Court? I may be wrong there, but I think it's the Shadowborn Court. So he's a prince, he's a vampire prince. And in the beginning of this book, his family is basically holding her captive and is going to get rid of her for killing him. And in steps his brother, who has a very, very bad reputation of being primo shadow daddy. Oh, yeah. And he says, you know what, actually, I've got a better use for Misha. I have to do this kind of task for Nyaxia, who is the queen of the goddess of the underworld. And this book actually features them going to the underworld. It is a lot of fun. I love the banter. I like her voice. I think Misha's a great character. I was really invested in the romance. There is a reanimated, i.e. necromancied dog wolf in this, who I love, who is so sweet. I thought this was a great read. I loved the kind of conversation that Misha has in her head about like the warring commitments and the things, and I think this is very relatable, of who she thinks she should be, of what other people expect of her, but of what she really wants, and trying to figure that out. It's great. Carissa Broadbent, she never misses for me, so loved it. So that was a 4.5-star read. So I had my steak, I had my fries, I had a chocolate milkshake, I then had the brownies. I like chocolate. I then had a chocolate espresso martini to go with it. We had a great time. And again, if you've watched my video, you'll know what the hell I'm on about. And the next book I actually listened to audiobook, whoa, that's really going all shiny, is The Temptation of Magic by Megan Scott. This was definitely on my 25 for 25. This was, I think, the only book, no, I'm lying, okay, there was another one. So this, I would say, was like a solid 3 or 3.5 star read. This is about a family so you're in a world where you've got kind of supernaturals, so people with power, and you've got humans, and they kind of know about each other. And then you've got this organization. It's almost like, if you know Buffy, it's like a watcher organization that kind of watches over the supernatural creatures. And if they step out of line, if they hurt someone, they come in and they deal with them. So they're kind of like authority, a bit like, what's the Shadowhunters type of thing as well. So you have our main girl here and her family, and they're kind of hiding a little bit. They're hiding their identity, they're hiding their past. Something happened with her mother and this organization, and she's actually destined to become a member. So when her powers kind of activate, she should really become a member of this organization, but she doesn't want to, and her mother's always kind of told her to stay away, and they're kind of hiding their powers. And this is a bit of a dark academia setting as well, because they're at university. There's this cool kind of magic. There's this thing with like paintings and how messages can be kind of varnished into paintings, which I really liked. And then you've got the central romance in this, which is between our main girl, who's obviously trying to hide her powers from this kind of watcher organization, and our main boy, who is one of said watchers. And he is, Kian, I think is his name. He's Irish. And again, I listened to the audiobook. Oh, the Irish, and that's so sexy. And I enjoyed it. Like I said, enjoyed the magics. I enjoyed the kind of bit of a sort of a academia setting. I enjoyed the relationship, but it just didn't do anything for me emotionally. And again, if going back to my kind of taste video, for me, I got to have some sort of an emotional connection or reaction to make it a really like a 4 and a 5 star read. So that's why I do think people would really like this. I know a lot of people do. It's not bad. It's a great kind of, if you like magic, that kind of, you know, paranormal, fantastical romance, I think people would really like it. I think it's also the beginning in a series. I'm not going to continue in the series just because I had no emotional connection, but it's not a bad book. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, definitely give it a go. The audiobook's great as well. And then the next one is Blood of Hercules, and this is this gorgeous special edition signed by the author. This is by Jesmyn Mass. So I've actually delayed this video for a couple of days because I'm still trying to sort out my feelings on this one. So there are parts of this that I really enjoyed, but then there were parts of it that I actually really didn't, upon reflection. So this book is dystopian. So a bit like the Ava Reid book, we are actually in the future, far in the future in this one. And the world is kind of, it's sort of a dystopian Greek, going kind of back to the Greek heroes, using the Greek mythology, but in the future, where you've got humans and you've got titans and you've got like all your Greek heroes. So, and it's also kind of a gender bent Hercules. So our main character, Alex, in this, she thinks she's just a normal human, nothing special about her. She's living in horrendous circumstances. So the beginning of this book is really hard. Like, she's being abused by her foster parents. She's basically terrified of them. Then something happens and she ends up like basically sleeping in a cardboard box. But then she takes a test at school and her blood does something to the test paper, and they kind of swoop in and go, oh, she's a Spartan. So you've got the Titans and the Spartans. The Spartans and the Titans kind of fight against each other. Spartans are kind of supposed to be the good guys. And there's a kind of, again, there's a slightly more complex divide between the different types of Spartans. You've got all kind of your classic, your Zeus, your those kind of people in here. Hades and Persephone, all of those kind of characters, but like completely reimagined. And what ends up happening is they take her off to this like Spartan war academy. And this whole book is her going through these months at this academy. And then there's also like a bit of a plot in the background and a bit of a kind of a dark romance leaning on this. And while I liked her voice in the sense that she's very snarky and very funny and she made me laugh a lot, I thought the idea of doing this kind of dystopian future Greek mythology take was really interesting, this kind of gender bent Hercules thing. What I didn't like was that the character and the reader, we don't know what's going on most of the time. Like, there is another plot going on and you kind of hear bits and pieces, some chapters from other characters, and then you're kind of like, oh, what's really going on? But she spends 90% of this book completely clueless about who she is, what's going on, what's actually happening, who's plotting what. She's just basically trying to survive this war, this like the Spartan Academy. And therein lies my other problem. And this may be, I will admit, because when you say like War Academy to me, I think of Fourth Wing and I adore Fourth Wing. Say what you want. And this was not Bevskaya. This just basically, it was like Groundhog Day. All they did was like starve them, make them run a gauntlet and do tests over and over and over again. And it was a little bit boring at times. And then what I will say is, again, she kind of goes into this with, I'm just trying to survive. Her snake pet's really funny. Like, there's fun dialogue and conversation, but the actual plot line kind of grated on me a little bit. And I was like, okay, I get keeping I don't mind like finding out with the character, but the character is so in the dark for like the whole of the book. And then you've got like a few kind of spicy romancy type scenes at the end, which again were a little bit jarring. I thought I was going to like this more than I did. And again, the other thing was I was comparing this to kind of Fourth Wing in that sense, in the War Academy sense. And then I was comparing it. Well, it's unfair. I'm also currently reading the late Pam Godwin's of Hills and Shadows, that series. And I'll do I'm going to talk about that. It's one of the best books. Pam Godwin is such a queen, such a dark romance queen. And the problem is I'm reading that to me is such a high level of storytelling and character development that this ended up feeling flat. And that's not fair because they're not the same author, they're not the same type of story, but in a way, I guess it probably had an influence. But I don't know. I do think give it a go, because I know there's some people that really love it, and I can't remember if it was one of my subscribers in the comments. She also read it and hated it. But I'm kind of like, I don't hate it. I did actually, and I was listening to the audiobook. I finished the whole thing because normally I would just like DNF. So it was a pizza margarita. It was edible. There were bits that I really enjoyed. It satisfied my hunger, but it didn't leave me salivating for more, unfortunately. So again, it's another series. At least I can tick it off. I'm not going to continue. Moving on. From here on out, we are dining well. Our bellies are going to be full. We are having a good time. Charlie Hunnam's coming out. So these are all of, some of the dark romance books. I'm reading quite a few that I read that I want to talk about. So the first thing that I kind of discovered, and I don't have the book here and it's over there. I won't go get it now. But God, I love an asylum romance. And I am going to do a whole video on this because one of the first books I actually read, I'm digressing here, is it here? This is Alice by Christina Henry. And that has kind of that, it's taking Alice in Wonderland and setting her in an asylum, and then she gets together with Hatcher, and I'll talk about that later, but you've got that. Then another book that I adore, and that I actually cannot find my copy of and I'm going to have to rebuy, is the Emily Autumn book, the Asylum for Wayward Victorian Girls or something along those lines. Again, set in an asylum, loved it. I also love the movie Sucker Punch. It reminds me a lot of that. But anyway, so I really have a thing for that. So this is The Fabric of Our Souls by K.M. Moronova. I am so going to read more K.M. Moronova because this was sensational. I already have a few in my basket. The tagline is, he craves life and she craves death. And the setup is that our main female character, what's her name? Is it Ali? I might be making that up. Our main female character, we meet her where she's tried to take her own life for like the second time. And she's in hospital, and in walks in this kind of nurse, this guy. He's changing her IV and he's basically scolding her for wanting to end her life. And she's just like, you bad bedside manner. And then she's like, I don't think he was a nurse. Turns out, spoiler, he's not. But her brother is like, we can't go on like this. You have to go somewhere to recuperate, to heal your mind. So it's like a voluntary a hospital setting, but she goes off there, and her roommate is said nurse. Very progressive, male and female roommates. I like it. And there's also a third person that he is this guy's friend. And he is, again, somebody who has tried to end his own life. And the kind of main thing is that, like, our main male character, he does everything to feel. He wants to feel. He cuts himself. He hurts himself. He puts himself in dangerous situations. He craves that to feel. And she's like, I don't want to feel. I'm tired. I just want to numb myself. I so relate to her. So I related to this book in a very, very personal sense as well. This is why this was a 5-star read for me. But oh my goodness, it took me through all the emotions. It is so sad. It is so funny. It broke my heart. The ending, oh. There's also like a mystery element woven into this, which I didn't see coming at all. I loved the relationship. The spice was good. It was messed up. Again, obviously, all of that whole setup, please check your trigger warnings. But this is fantastic. This is so, so, so good. If you can handle that and you like the subject matter, I would 100% recommend this. This was, I mean, oh my gosh, I went to the Ivy Asia. I had the whole taster menu. I had the lychee cocktail, which is fantastic. We had the entire dessert tray. It was a good time. I loved this book. And then speaking of, at that same restaurant, in that same trip, we read Kid. So this is Kid by Jessie Hall. I am a new Jessie Hall stan. I have got all of her books in my car and I will be hitting purchase. I've also, I have to say, I did read this, I think, in a slightly out of order. So her most famous, or the one that has the most reviews, is Hawk. And the main character, Kid, in this one actually shows up in Hawk, and the characters in Hawk show up in here. I don't think you have to have read it because I still love this without reading Hawk, but I'm going to go back and read Hawk. So just saying that. But this is about Kid and Johanna. So our main female character has my name. So that's why I had to buy it. And also, I heard Jessie Hall being interviewed, and she was saying this is her favorite book that she's written. And I totally see why. I even though this is not her most popular book, I just think it's incredible. This is a character study. This is such a pure, amazing character study of these two dark, kind of broken people, and how they come together and how they deal with their trauma and try to heal each other. That's what I love about dark romance specifically. It's that exploration. What it is also a massive exploration is addiction. So massive, massive warning. If you cannot take drug taking or addiction, just stay far away from this, because both Kid, or Kai is his name, and Johanna in this, they take drugs basically all the time, okay, to help to sort of deal with their lives. So there's a lot of that. The spice is incredible. There's I wouldn't say there's a lot of plot. I would say this is such a twisted, wonderful romance character study book. It's also written from Kid's perspective, from the male perspective, which is something I don't see much of at all in dark romance. It's like purely from his, and you kind of get dual perspective stuff, but having something really primarily written from the male perspective, I really liked. And I think Jessie Hall said it was a real challenge as well, and she loved doing that. And I just think this book, like I said, if you can handle the dark, self-harm, drug taking, all of that, but it's incredible. This gave me all of the emotions, all of the feels. I cried, I laughed. It was incredible, and I am a massive fan. Then yes, I finally read Lights Out by Nevessa Allen. I have been threatening to read this for months now. And I did, and I loved it. Spoiler. So this was such a good time. Again, we had we had 6 courses. We had the dessert, and Charlie Hunnam was serving our drinks and nothing but a smile. So this book, or should I say, because actually I picture the main male character, Josh, in this book as Jason Momoa. To be fair, I picture all of my main male characters as either Jason Momoa or Charlie Hunnam. So there you go, insight into my mind. But I think he's more of a Jason Momoa. So he's described as this big, burly, tattooed, masked man, and oh god, he is. So this setup in this, I think this is for fans of Bryn Weaver's series, Butcher and Blackbird. I think you would really enjoy this. This has more of a humorous tinge to it. So although the setup is dark, as in Ali, who is our main character, she is an ER nurse. And as you can imagine, that's a stressful job. And she, you know, to kind of chill and relax, she watches these kind of thirst trap videos online of these kind of masked men. And she's obsessed with one of them. She leaves hundreds of comments on his videos. She watches hundreds of hours of this guy. He's so hot. She's so in love. And she texts this guy that she was having a bit of an on-off relationship with one day. And she's just like, oh, I'd quite be into, you know, you turning up in my house in a mask, you know, have some sexy time. And he's like, absolutely not. Besides, I'm seeing someone else by. So she's feeling kind of down. But her thirst trap guy gets wind of this. And he comes to visit her house. And things go from there. And you may think that that's very, very dark. And it isn't. I love their relationship. These two, they have my heart. Again, there's a kind of a crime element in this, a bit of a mafia element in this with her family comes into play and something that happens. And that's why the tagline is the couple who slays together stays together. That makes sense now as well in that. There is banter, there is humor, there is excellent spice. There is kind of, like I said, the sort of criminal element to it. I had the best time reading this book. I totally get the hype. I love this. I may love this more than Butcher and Blackbird, but it's definitely on that same. I very much think if you like one, you'd like the other. There is a second. This is a self-contained story for these two characters, but there is a second book, and I believe it's one of her cousins in this sort of crime family. So I'm really attached to Ali and Josh, and I'm like, but I may want to read that one. I think Nevessa Allen's writing style is divine. I love it. And then we get to two of the darkest books and most messed up relationships that I've read. So this is The Ritual by Chantal Tessier, and this is book one in a series as well. And this is A Little Stranger by Lee Rivers, also book one. I already have book two of this, so I will definitely be continuing, and I will be reading book two of this as well, because even though this is completely and utterly effed up and weird, I had a fantastic time. Let's start with The Ritual. So this is one of those books that's kind of like in the the Rena Kent, like what Legacy of God series, whereas we're at a university. This is Barrington University, and you've got this kind of group of guys that are part of the Lords. It's like a sorority, but like on steroids. So they're all children of, and they're going to be the next leaders, you know, of industry and crime and politics, and they do a whole bunch of messed up stuff and not legal all the time. Not legal at all. And then they have this sort of weird ritual thing where they're given a woman. They get to pick, or they're told to pick a woman, and she's theirs for a number of years, and she has to do whatever they want. So there's a lot of spice in this. I will say our main character, he is a psychopath. He's one of those psychopath bad boys. He's not a nice guy. He enjoys, what I will say about this is, again, trigger, please. He enjoys inflicting pain, and she, our main female character, actually enjoys taking pain. So it's very much, I would say, like a dom-sub relationship between them, and that includes the sex. I think there's also a bit of dubious consent in here, but on the whole, it is consensual, but it isn't sweet, you know. So if you're okay with that, it's great, but just know there's a lot of it, and there's that in there, and some of the scenes could be disturbing. I will also say that I wasn't totally in love with it in the beginning. And I actually feel like, having watched some reviews now, that may be a common theme. In the beginning, I was a little bit like, and then I kind of got into the characters, and I got into sort of the mystery and the stuff that's going on again in the background of the Lords and the politics and all of that's happening, and I got into the relationship. But our main male character, he is psychotic. He burns her clothes at one point because he's like, you're not going out in a skirt, put some jeans on. I don't want other men looking at you. This is a touch her and you die situation. I do like him though. But you know, he is and then there's a bit of a kind of a conspiracy mystery element to it. There's a lot of violence in here. Like I said, please check your trigger warnings, but I actually enjoyed the second half of the book way more than I did the first, and that's why I want to continue on in the series, because I want to read about some of the other characters. But the very beginning, I was a bit like, but I'm glad I continued because I liked the end. So fortunately, Charlie wasn't serving us or drinks in that one, but I feel like he was on this one because as this wasn't the best written book, but oh my god, did I have fun. So this is Little Stranger by Lee Rivers. So I have to say, this is so taboo. So this is a relationship between siblings, but they're not blood related. They are both like foster adopted kids. And so you've got Malachi, and God, what's her name? Is she Ali? She might be the Ali. I think I've had a couple of books with the main character called Ali. But anyway, so so Malachi, when he comes to this family, he doesn't talk, he's mute. And he's a bit strange, but he really gets on with his foster sister. And they form a really sweet bond that turns sexual when they become teenagers. Now, this book is in two halves. So you get the past, where they were teenagers, and kind of how that relationship developed. And then the present, because something happened in the past where she testified against him and he was sent to jail. And the second half of the book, I think it's 8 years later, he is out and he wants to punish her. But he also wants her because she's his. So it turns into a bit of a stalker relationship. It's completely unhinged. Some of the scenes, I don't even know if I can't say them. Please go look up trigger warnings. Because wowzers, there's somnophilia in this. There's a spider and a screwdriver. Anyway, there is a lot that happens, but I actually kind of like Malachi, because the other bit of this is that her family's trying to marry her off to some rich guy to form an alliance, and I'm like, no, she should be Malachi. Malachi agrees with me. You know, it's completely unhinged, but I had the best freaking time reading it. I just had such a laugh. So this was probably, again, this is a Marmite, you know, absinthe fountain packet of salty licorice kind of book. I think if you get it, you get it. If you like it, you like it. It may not be for everyone, but man, Charlie was cranking up that absinthe fountain. We were tucking into that bowl of salted licorice with our Marmite toast, and we were having a good time, baby. We were enjoying it. So that's my March wrap up. I will be posting my April, or I may have already posted it, my plans. I have loads of plans. I have loads of videos coming up. So let me know if you've read any of those. Let me know if you have any recommendations, and I will see you all very soon. Bye.